The New York Jets have released their unofficial depth chart ahead of the 2025 season, less than a week away from the preseason opener. And it doesn't mean much. We are all nothing. We are all Jon Snow for the thumbnail. But I'll say this about the unofficial depth charts. In my experience with this, in terms of who's starting or whatever, it doesn't mean much of anything because they always bury rookies. The most famous example of this was the Jets had Bryce Hall ahead of Sauce Gardner on their first unofficial depth chart ahead of the 2022 season. So anybody with NFL experience, they always put them ahead of the rookies. For example, like Arian Smith is behind Malachi Corley in this one. That's not a real thing. However, I do think it is instructive in terms of maybe who's going to make the team. Now, who's going to start, who's going to be on the field more, but who's going to make the team. For example, Jeremy Ruckert is listed as tight end 1. Will Jeremy Ruckert be tight end 1? Probably not. It'll probably be Mason Taylor, who's getting the rookie treatment, being tight end 2. But Ruckert is going to make the team. Like they're not going to have him as tight end 1 on August 3rd and then off the team a month from now when they open the season. Right? Tony Adams is listed as a starting safety. He's going to be on the team. Will Malachi Moore overtake him? Maybe, but Tony Adams is going to be on the team. So those guys who are first, second stringers, like those guys, they're telling you who's going to be on the team for the most part. Who's starting, that doesn't really mean much at all with these. So let's take a look, man. So let's start on offense. Can I move this over? Yes. Not very user-friendly, I must say, on the Jet website. Okay, so starting offensive line, Olu Simpson, Joe Tippmann, AVT, Armand Membu. They're not doing the rookie treatment with Membu because that would probably cause a thing. They know the Jets are a very social media conscious franchise. They know. They're like, oh, Jet fans are going to freak out if we put Olu as the backup tackle. I'm telling you, that's how they think these things through. But so we like to see that. Obviously, the offensive line, no surprises there. And then obviously quarterback, Justin Fields, then Tyrod Taylor, 1 and 2. No surprises there. Wide receiver, Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, and Josh Reynolds are this listed as a starting 3. Not really a surprise there. You know, with Lazard, I thought maybe Tyler Johnson could be there instead of him. But obviously, Garrett and Reynolds, we knew were going to be 2 of the 3 starting receivers and 11 personnel. The second string receivers, they have listed as the second team of receivers, if you want to look at it that way. Malachi Corley, Xavier Gibson, Tyler Johnson. And then the final wave of receivers, Arian Smith, Jamal Pritchett, Brandon Smith. So to be honest, in the wide receiver room, there's not much I can take away just because, I mean, I guess I'll say this. Allen Lazard is going to make the team. I think we thought that Allen Lazard is going to make the team. So there's that. Do they list with Gibson? Do they list punt returner? We'll take a look at defense in a second. Yeah, punt returner number 1, Xavier Gibson. Kick returner number 1, Xavier Gibson. So Xavier Gibson's going to make the team. Allen, like the wide receiver room, I think we know it. I think I could tell you. I think I could tell you the 53. I think I could give you 49 spots, pretty much guaranteed, or so. Because the wide receivers, it's going to be Garrett, Reynolds, Lazard, Arian Smith, Tyler Johnson, and Xavier Gibson. Those are the receivers, right? Tight ends going to be Ruckert, Taylor, and Stone Smart. Fullback is going to be Andrew Beck, only 1. He could play tight end and special teams too. So I guess that's the big takeaway on offense. Like we know, like heading into the summer, was Gibson going to be on the team? Was Ruckert going to be on the team? Was Lazard going to be on the team? Yes. Now this is interesting. Max Mitchell is listed as this is actually a significant takeaway to me as well, because Max Mitchell and Carter Warren, there's no reason that they would have one ahead of the other than that's just how it's going to be. You know what I mean? It's not like one is a rookie and one is a veteran or anything like that. So it looks like they like Max Mitchell better than Carter Warren. I think, well, it's interesting because I think if you took the best sample of games between both of them, Max Mitchell's rookie games at right tackle is the best out of both. but the worst reps also belong to Max Mitchell. There's a lot of reps where Max Mitchell just looks physically overwhelmed to play offensive tackle in the NFL. He did have the blood clots. I don't know if that's something that maybe hampered his strength or his play conditioning for a year or so. But anyway, he's the backup left tackle, and then Okafor is listed as the backup right tackle. Now, would they play Okafor at either spot? I don't know, but Max Mitchell's going to be on the team. So Max Mitchell's on the team, Jeremy Ruckert's on the team, Xavier Gibson is on the team, Alan Lazard is on the team. That's what I'm seeing here. Xavier Newman or Cole Laveo, probably one of the two, unless they want to keep 10 offensive linemen. We have an offensive lineman named Samuel Jackson. Okay, that is news to me. He is fourth string. So if Samuel Jackson is playing, it's over. Okay, Stone Smart, tight end 3. Yeah, there's no big surprises. To me, the only surprise is Max Mitchell had a Carter Warren. Jeremy Ruckert again, tight end 1, but it's going to be Mason Taylor. Running back room goes in exact order you would think. Brees, Braylon, Isaiah Davis, then in Nwangwu, who's been getting some burn at running back. Like maybe they keep 4 running backs and they have Nwangwu be the kick returner. And Nwangwu's a good kick returner, man. All right, let's look at defense. So they have Jermaine Johnson as a 5th stringer just because injury, he's working his way back. So the base defense, Michael Clemens, Will McDonald. Again, Michael Clemens going to be on the team. Will he start? Will he play over? How many reps will he get? Will Eric Watts eventually have a spot over him to make Clemens? Clemens is going to be on the team, right? Clemens, Max Mitchell, Alan Lazard, Xavier Gibson. These boys are back. But let's be honest, it's not like there's look at the guys behind him. Again, I'm not a big Michael Clemens fan, but let's be honest. Kingsley Jonathan. Should Kingsley Jonathan make the team or Michael Fletcher? I don't know, man. So, and then Byron Cowart. So yeah, Byron Cowart we know is going to be the starting defensive tackle next to Quinnen. That's not a surprise to me. Cowart can play a bit. Cowart can play a bit. Do you want him starting? Probably not. But of all the veteran defensive tackles they signed, in my opinion, when I was watching them, I was like, hey, Byron Cowart can kind of play. So I'm in the Byron Cowart fan club. I am a Jay Tefele hater. Jay Tefele, to me, his tape, I needed bleach in my eyes after I watched it. I don't understand what was going on there. Rashad Weaver and Eric Watts listed as the primary backup edge players. But then again, Tyler Barron, he's going to get the rookie treatment back there. Leonard Taylor, you haven't really heard much about Leonard Taylor. Leonard Taylor was, I feel like his name last camp and preseason was coming up left and right. Or Corafor. Is that not right? A Corafor? Am I saying or? No, because I'm putting an R in there. A core. I'm going to call him Chooks. A Corafor. That's not how you say it? I don't know. Type it phonetically in the chat for me of how I'm supposed to say it. Yeah, man. So I thought Leonard Taylor might be a little bit higher. Phildarian Mathis, who Dylan Terman's in the chat. Dylan Terman is a Phildarian Mathis truther. He has a Phildarian Mathis poster that he looks at every night, like Queen's Gambit on the ceiling. He's falls asleep to that. Peyton Page getting the rookie treatment. I think Peyton Page is actually higher than this, but they're making the rookies earn it. All right. So I guess Rashad Weaver being higher than expected, and then Jay Tefele. Dude, if they cut Leonard Taylor and keep Jay Tefele, it probably won't matter, but it'll still be upsetting. I won't like that. Linebacker. So the third linebacker was Marcelino McCrary Ball. So he is, you guessed it, he's on the team. And then we know Kiko's going to make it. So linebacker, if they're going to keep 5, it's probably going to be Quincy Jamie, McCrary Ball, Kiko Malagoa, and Jamin Davis. And then Zaire Barnes will continue his legacy run, but it will have to be from the practice squad. Boog Smith. Look at the names we got in the back of this depth chart. We got Boog Smith, Bump Cooper, Samuel Jackson, Fatorma Mulba, Ontario Wilson. They're just they're just trying to see like, all right, let's put a Boog Smith on the depth chart and see if people think it's real. They're messing with us. Who is Boog Smith? Let's put a face to this. Boog? Is it Boog? It's got to be Boog. Why can't I read? Boog Smith. Aaron Boog Smith. 6'2", 230-pound linebacker out of South Carolina State. Amazing. Bump Cooper. And he's a corner. Bump Cooper. I mean, we got to keep him on the practice squad just for fun. Ryan Cooper Jr. Yeah, see, Ryan Cooper Jr. sells insurance. Bump Cooper belongs on the New York Jets. So that was a great call by him. That was a great PR move. What the hell are we talking about? Oh, yeah. So nothing really surprising in the front seven besides, I think, Rashad Weaver. I think some of these guys are just seeing that they signed with intent because Andrew Beck, they picked up early on. Rashad Weaver, they picked up early on. Tony Adams, that was a decision they made early on to bring him back. Jay Tefeli, that was an early signing. Like, so they were just like, hey, these are the guys you brought in. And they're going to make the team play the role that we expected. Jamin Davis, that was a decision they made early on to bring him back. Michael Clemens, they could have cut him when they cut Thomas Morstead to save like 5 meme coins or whatever, which I still think it's really not a big deal at all to cut a 40-year-old punter for a team that's going to win like 7 games or whatever. But all things being equal, I would have kept Thomas Morstead. But they're shaving pennies to cut Thomas Morstead. Michael Clemens is making $4 million. If they didn't see something they liked in him, they would have cut him months ago. So clearly they like Clemens. Corner. Okay, this is interesting. Jordan Clark is listed as the backup nickel. I wonder if do they have, he's a UDFA, right? From Arizona State. Okay. So now do they have Isaiah Oliver listed as a safety? Yes, a safety. Okay. That's interesting. And now they're not going to list him in multiple spots. So Isaiah Oliver, is he a backup safety and the backup nickel? Because Isaiah Oliver started 17 games in a Steve Wilkes defense as the nickel. And he played nickel for the Jets last year. So he's a nice chess piece. So I'm guessing he'd be the primary backup at both. But that's good news for Jordan Clark. Backup corners on the boundary, they have Stiggers and JBC ahead of Azariah Thomas. But again, he's getting that rookie treatment back there behind the guys who aren't necessarily veterans, but do have NFL experience. Chris Boyd is a corner in name only. He's also injured. And then Tony Adams ahead of Malachi Moore to me means nothing. Just because Moore is a rookie, but now Moore is going to miss a couple weeks, so that could hurt his development. But Tony Adams is going to be a part of this team. So I hope they could keep Stiggers and JBC. Keep 7 corners. Keep 7 corners, and you don't have Xavier Newman or whatever the heck, or you don't have Derek Nottie. Just try to keep your best players, because to me, like, you want the corner is one spot on this roster where that final player that gets cut, I think, is going to get rostered by another team. There's not a lot of other spots I feel that way about. And then, yeah, Nick Folk seems to be running away with the kicking competition. Austin McNamara is the only punter and the only holder for place kicking. Gibson seems like Gibson is the wide receiver 6 / kick returner and punt returner. Thomas Hennessy, safest roster spot on the team. They do have Arian Smith listed as at least getting work with the returners. He's listed as the 3rd string punt returner and the 4th string kick returner. Because if Arian Smith can't be a starting receiver by next year, which I think is a reasonable goal, wide receiver 3, which is a starter, by year 2. If he can't and he's a wide receiver 4, Okay, then you need to be a kick returner or a punt returner to justify a 4th round pick, which isn't a crazy expectation. So it's good that he's at least getting work there. I don't, to my knowledge, I don't think he returned kicks in Georgia, so that's probably new to him. So Irv Charles, yeah, is injured. There we have it. Jet step chart. We know nothing. What's up, Jake? Death, taxes, and BJF. Embrace your inner BJF. Yes. Agreed. Akorafor. Akorafor. Okay. Akorafor. Got it. Hopefully, I don't have to know how to say his name because Armamembu and Olufashnu don't miss any games. G Stuck says, "What's up, EJF? Will Brees play in the slot while Allen is in the backfield?" Probably not a ton, to be honest. I'd like that if that was something they wanted to experiment with. Maybe you'll see some pony package, like you're talking sub 5% of the plays. Probably it's just pretty rare around the NFL. Even the Lions, who, if any team should have done it a lot, Montgomery and Gibbs, but they didn't really do that a bunch either. So it's a pretty rare kind of back. You're talking like Christian McCaffrey, Reggie Bush, Alvin Kamara. Like they only make one of those every 10 years or so. But in terms of overall targets or receptions, yeah, I think Brees should be top. There shouldn't be that many guys between Garrett and Brees getting catches. Like Brees could be second in catches. How many catches did Brees have in 2023 when there was no Devontae Adams? I think he was second on the team in catches, not yards, because his average depth of target is going to be so short. Yeah, he had 76 catches in 2023. That had to be second on the team. I think you could see that something similar to that again, where Brees Hall and Mason Taylor are really your second and third weapons. So I don't know if it'll be out of the slot, though. Probably mostly out of the backfield. What's up, Mike? Why can't we take that kid if he has a good preseason? Brandon Smith could be a gunner on special teams, has no Gibson. Yeah, I'm not the biggest Xavier Gibson fan, but it seems like he's going to be on the team, right? Like all the evidence we have seems like he's going to be on the team. But Brandon Smith, yeah, I like his catch radius, his contested catch ability. Pour one out for Leonard Taylor. Leonard Taylor makes the team, or we riot. Maybe he is just another one in the overhyped young player Jet fan graveyard. But I thought he did. I thought he flashed some pass rush potential and limited opportunities. What do the nerd stats have to say about Leonard Taylor? I mean, that just it's not a position where we should be parting with any young talent at defensive tackle. Like, come on, look at the names on there, respectfully. Okay, he had 2 sacks and 10 pressures in 114 pass rush snaps. It's not bad. That's not bad. A PFF pass rush grade of 71, which was 34th out of 219 defensive tackles. All right. It's not bad. Orokafor. Oh, okay. A Corafor. Well, I'm gonna get a custom jersey and I'm gonna spell it my way. The threes and fours are the ones that are going to play next week. That is why the young guys are down there. Yeah, there should be not as many guys getting rest. Like there's not as many of the Morgan Moses, Tyron Smith, um, CJ Mosley kind of players. I mean, like Alan Lazard should play. Alan Lazard should play in the preseason to me. Um, Armand Membu should play a little bit in the preseason. Sauce, Garrett, Quinnen. Okay, they can get lighter work, but like to me, Alan Lazard shouldn't be in street clothes, yakking it up on the sideline like he's a made man. He should be out there fighting for his job, in my opinion. What's up, Jersey Jet? JVC should have been a safety. Yeah, that was kind of the speculation when he was drafted. Why is Corley nowhere to be found on the returner depth chart? Am I missing something? He could do well there. I'm surprised he hasn't at least gotten work at kick returner because punt returner is you have to have a kind of a special hand-eye coordination and just they have to really trust your hands and your decision making. But kick returner, you just got to get the ball and go. So and then break tackles and division. It's like almost like a more of a running back skill set. So I'm surprised that Corley hasn't gotten work at kick returner. Dude, I don't know what it is with Corley, but he must suck at practice. Like it's already the fact that he's out there getting work with somebody who is at practice. It's literally just another podcaster, but the Jets have rules about you're not supposed to say who's first string, second string. So I don't want to get him in trouble because he has the press badge and all that. But another Jets podcaster told me, he's like, bro, Malachi Corley is out there with when Napoleon Dynamite or whatever is playing quarterback. Like there are blank names on the real depth chart before Malachi Corley's name. So he just must not be very good at football, unfortunately. I don't know what other conclusion we can come to because you haven't heard anything like character-wise. It doesn't seem like he's lazy or anything. He just may not have it. It's kind of seems that way. We kind of saw that last summer where, we try to do the thing of like, well, it's early on. Oh, we don't know. And it's like, bro, he's not playing. Like it's so obvious right away. Like they're like, he ain't gonna see the field. And now it's a second coaching staff who kind of seems that way as well. That's a bummer. They should pretend. They should have done a Corley propaganda campaign and then tried to get like a 5th or 6th round pick from him. That's what they should have done. I would have went along with it. They could have sent me a script. I would have participated, but the Jets didn't want to do that. They're going to be honest, and now they're going to cut the first pick of the 3rd round he's going to get the Ja'Kai Polite treatment. Malachi Corley is the Ja'Kai Polite of wide receivers. Ja'Kai Polite. What a legend. Always had great manners. Now, yeah, because I don't know if Corley will even kick returning because that's surprising. They probably just don't think he's good. Do you see Arian Smith getting to first team by the end of the year? Maybe. There's definitely a chance there. I think he's going to see the field. And early on, already, it's not like Corley last year. It's not like, oh my gosh, he's completely buried. Like the coaches are saying, manage expectations. Aaron Glenn actually had a where he was like, oh, the guy you say can't catch, where he kind of clapped back to a media member, which is like, yeah, let's be honest. It's like, dude, he did have the highest drop rate in college football, but you like to see Aaron Glenn have his players back. You like to see that. Oh, I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, Arian Smith brings an element of speed for sure. And it seems like with early on, it seems like the players they've acquired, they're like, we're going to acquire these players. We're going to have a role for you, and you're going to play that role. That's all. Pretty simple. We'll see how it goes. Interesting to see what the offense does in the first quarter against the Packers on Saturday. Didn't like the camp report yesterday. Oh, yeah. Yesterday, apparently, it was like the worst practice in NFL history. I was super busy yesterday. So, I mean, I saw a couple tweets, but it was something like Fields was 2 of 10, and there was like 12 penalties, and they stopped the practice early. It seemed like an awful product. So sorry to anybody who spent their time going to that. Do I make much of that? Not really. And to be fair, if Fields was 10 of 10 and there was no penalties, I wouldn't really make much of that either. To me, camp and practices and the stuff that's happening so far, in terms of how many games a team is going to win, it almost means absolutely nothing besides health. There's nothing that can really happen. And to be honest, that would significantly change my like win-loss prediction for the team between now and the week 1 of the season, besides just crossing your fingers that nobody gets hurt. But I think the stuff that's happening now is valuable in terms of like who's going to make the team, who's going to play what role, what young guys are going to get a shot, that kind of stuff. So within the team itself, yes, with how the team is going to compare to their regular season opponents. I mean, we could look at the joint practices. I know that's fun, but it just doesn't matter a ton. Like I think if you've followed enough Jets off seasons, it doesn't matter a ton in terms of the regular season. But if you're a psycho about the team like me, then you care if Gibson is going to make it or Smith is going to make it, all that kind of stuff. And that's what we're trying to find out. Yeah, obviously I'd prefer like Justin Fields go 9 of 11 instead of 2 of 10, but it seems like that was an outlier of a bad day for the offense. I want one off season because I know it's like everyone says, well, the defense is always ahead of the offense. And then we always say that as kind of a cope, but then every year our offense is like the worst offense in the NFL. So it would just be nice for one off season if it's like, holy crap, the offense is eviscerating the defense. And then if that means our defense isn't very good, then so be it. At least we get to see some points. But it's always how it goes. It's like, well, it's early. It's August 18th. It's like the season is in like 9 days. Well, it's early. Let's think about the context. Yeah, the context is that they're not going to score any points again. That's probably what's going to happen. But it's okay. If we could get to like, I don't know, what were we last year in points scored? I want to be like towards 20th in some stuff offensively. Honestly, I will take that as an incremental improvement. And that's how I'm judging Fields and Engstrand. What does Fields have to do? I'm going to Google points scored by team NFL. I'm going to Google that in 4 months, and that will tell me how Fields did. I truly, because what else are we talking about, man? Like, I don't know. Some people will really overcomplicate it. Well, if we have somebody do a painting of Fields' season represented in an abstract painting, and we look at it, what emotions does it evoke out of us? And that will tell us how well he did. No, I'm going to look at points scored, and that will tell me. Not necessarily wins, because is Joe Burrow the reason the Bengals didn't make the playoffs last year? No, he was individually awesome, and that was reflected in the Cincinnati Bengals scoring the 7th most amount of points in the NFL. So I'm not a QB wins guy, but I'm a QB points guy. We got to score some points. The Jets were 24th in the NFL last year in points scored. Let's get to top 20. Can we get to 19th? 19th would be awesome. It'd be awesome if we're 19th. Then that means Fields took some strides forward and Engstrand maybe knows what he's doing a little bit. What's the highest we've been recently? Okay, I know 2023, I don't have to check, we were near the bottom. 28th, 2022, that's probably not much higher. 29th, 2021, I bet we were dead last. No, 28th again. 2020, 32nd. 2019, 32nd. 2018, 30th. 2017, Josh McCown. Come on, Josh. 23rd. Okay, we got to be higher than 23rd. We got to be the Aaron Rodgers year and the Josh McCown year. I bet the last year we were above average is probably 2015, right? 2015, we were 10th. Wow. So let's try and be 22nd. 22nd in points. We're ahead of the Josh McCown fever season and ahead of the all-in tank year. It was the first all-in tank in NFL history. Very unique year last year for the Jets. So let's be better than those. I'm only half kidding. Like if they can be in that range, it's an improvement. Yeah, Nadi was bad last year, man. I mean, it's in analytics are tough for like a run stuffing defensive tackle. PFF is never going to be kind to you, but yeah, Nadi. I mean, let's be honest. The Chiefs didn't bring him back for the vet minimum. You know what I mean? But Cowher, I think Cowher will surprise some people. I think Cowher can play a bit. Clemens and Lazar and the Lizard King are going to make the roster. Yeah. Demir Miller is, well, he's crazy fast, right? Another small, crazy fast guy. Corley looked like he could play with the threes yesterday. Okay, that's good to hear. Fields in midseason form are already throwing 2 for 10. Well, midseason form would be like 6 for 10, to be fair. He's at least hovering around 60%. What's up, Danger Zone? He had a great practice Friday. Well, it's also interesting depending on who you hear it from. Like multiple people can be at practice and you'll hear completely different things. So Robbie Sabo is typically my guy for that because he'll at least add like a bunch of different context and then like more meat to it where it's like, yeah, and look, whatever. I'm not the beat reporters or whatever. I have no ill will towards. I know it's like popular to hate the beat reporters. I mean, whatever. It's fine. They're just doing their job. It's what it is. But I think like a little bit more coverage of something like that. Like, I don't know. Maybe they're not allowed to. Maybe they're just not allowed to. But you'd think there'd be like a write up of like almost a play by play. So it wasn't really. It would be like penalty backs the Jets up. Donovan Edwards then takes the handoff. Nick Folk missed a field goal. And it's like, wow, I'm learning so much about the team. But maybe they're not allowed to just maybe the team doesn't allow them to put more detailed reports. Because it was like, unless you were there, it seemed like there wasn't that much coverage from it, other than it was a bad, sloppy practice. Yep, 10 years for them to be a top 10 offense in points. And that was the last time they were even top 20. They haven't been the highest they've ranked since 2015 after that 2015 year is 23rd with Josh McCown. which is wild. I mean, who was the receivers? Well, Robbie Anderson and like Curse and Curly. Um, was that Loggins? Was that Dowell Loggins as the OC? Did that offense was better than what we watched last year, given the talent and the expectations? Josh McCown cooked. Cowart has to be better than one lined up next to Quinnen last season. Well, yeah, I mean, Javon Kinlaw obviously has some physical traits. That's why he went in the first round, but he just did whatever he wanted. It would be like, wow, I got this. He put like a swim move on the inside and he's way in the backfield, but then it's like a counter play going the other way, and there's his hole is just wide open. It's like, dude, him and Reddick, the same thing, just absolute freelancing. Why not? Isaiah Davis is a kick returner. Is he on there? Nope, he's not. I don't know why. Maybe they don't think he has enough straight line speed, but yeah, I actually think his skill set would be pretty nice in today's kick return rules, to be honest. Maybe he's like the that lead, maybe he's on that unit though as a blocker. Don't trust Nick Faria. He seems like a cool dude. He's definitely like very positive though. Um, so somewhere between Rich Media and Nick Faria probably is the truth. Chris Beer reminds us to hit the like button. Thank you. Appreciate that, man. Oh, was that John Morton was the OC? No, Loggins was Gase. Loggins was Gase. Was it Morton in 2016? Yeah, you're right. It would be great if we could pick up someone for the defensive line. Yeah, Zadarius Smith seems but I think he posted something on social media about wanting to go back to Detroit. So, but Smith would be an awesome addition. I mean, let's be honest, with JJ working his way back, like Smith plugs in and starts. And he's got familiarity with Glenn. So I'd be with it. Receiver isn't happening. They're not going to sign, whatever. Well, Amari Cooper retired, but they're not going to sign Keenan Allen. They're just not. Jay Tefele or Lakey Fotu. I forgot Lakey Fotu existed. Did he even get on the field in the regular season for the Jets, Lakey Fotu? Chris Boyd seemed like a tough. That seemed like it might have been more serious. I'm sure we'll get an update tomorrow. Is there a camp tomorrow? I should know that. Whenever I'm assuming there's camp tomorrow, and we'll probably get the whole roundup of injuries. But of all the ones, it all seemed like nothing too serious. Besides the Chris Boyd was like slamming the helmet, hopped on the cart. Michael Clemens is edge one. Our D's must really suck. He shouldn't even make the team. He's an undisciplined penalty machine who can't hold an edge. Well, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how'd you like to play? Yeah, I can't really refute any of what you said, anything of what you said there about Clemens to what he's demonstrated so far. I have no rebuttal to your feelings on that. Oh, Amari Cooper didn't retire. It was a fake tweet. Okay, I got. Wilkins, yeah, that's sad. Wilkins might have to wait till like mid-season or something, depending on the surgery that he needs. I mean, he might be done. Like his foot might be jacked, and he might be done. Trade for Micah Parsons. I mean, I think the same thing about it as Terry McLaurin and whoever requests to trade next. Like, you have to figure out who your quarterback is. Until they do that, they can't be entertaining trades that would require them because you're talking about what 2 first-round picks and change for Parsons, and then paying him a jet tax, a New Jersey state sales tax. Talking about paying him what 45 million a year and giving up 2 first-round picks and like a 4th-round pick or something. And then if Justin Fields doesn't work out, and now you need a quarterback next year, and you don't have a 1st-round pick for 2 years, that is insane roster building to me. Now, part of me says, well, whatever. The Jets will probably pick a bad quarterback anyway, so just take Micah Parsons and let him, McDonald, and JJ Cook and Quinnen and just have like a really fun defensive line. And then Micah Parsons is a Hall of Famer who gets to be on your team. Maybe the best, like one of the best edge rushers like in the NFL. But this team has to figure out quarterback, you know. And if I had to bet on what team Micah Parsons and Terry McLaurin are playing for this upcoming season, probably the Commanders and the Cowboys, right? Because it's much cheaper for those teams to keep them than teams to acquire them. There's no way AG will tolerate Clemens. Well, if he keeps doing Clemens things, yes, I'm sure. Obviously, they think he won't do Clemens things. Over under Justin Fields 3,000 yards passing. That's an interesting line. His actual betting line from one that I saw recently was like 2,600. I said over. I don't know if I'd go over 3,000 because I think he'd have to play every game. Like he might miss a game or two. That's close. So that would be how many yards a game do you need if you play 17 games? 176.4. Dude, come on. Over. If you play 17 games over. That's not asking for a lot. His what's his career yards per start? You can't look at yards per game because he came in like 6 games in Pittsburgh just for a couple plays, and that tanks his average. So you got to look at yards per game start. Okay, and his rookie year it was 156. His second year was 151. His third year it was 197. Last year it was 179. So his last 2 years combined, it's like one in the high 180s a game. So yeah, I'd say over. He played 17 games. Ruckert starting TE is crappy. Yeah, but I think it'll be Mason Taylor. Fields has to put up 250 yards a game and 2 touchdowns for us to be successful at all. 250 scrimmage yards? 250 passing yards per game is not happening. Um, I mean, that would be in the upper third of the NFL. Like, who were the passing leaders in yards last year? I want to tell me. I mean, I don't even need to look it up. I know that's too high for Fields, 250. Um, yeah, I mean that would put him at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would put him at like sixth in the NFL in passing yards. I mean that's not going to happen. Danger zone, thanks, man. Over under 1K total yards and 6 touchdowns for Arian plus Corley. A lot of factors I know, but gut feeling. Hit the like and subscribe to BJF. Best New York Jets monologuer. I have the best tangents. Maybe not the best content or the best opinions or the best graphics, but definitely the best tangents. Dude, under because Corley to me is like probably close to 0. So it's almost like you asked me, combined between Arian Smith and Dylan Terman. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, I did. Maybe the pendulum has swung too far, and now we're too cold on Corley. And this isn't even because I think he's not even necessarily my individual opinion on the player. It just seems like what the coaches think from the opportunities he's getting in camp, per my source, the guy who goes to practice, who texts me sometimes. Um. So man, I have to go under. And I mean scrimmage yards, yeah, maybe you could add a little bit more, but I mean receiving yards definitely under. You got to think if we're throwing for around 3,000 yards. I mean Garrett's getting like a third of that, and then Brees, Mason Taylor, Josh Reynolds. Um, how many yards are left? Total yards. Okay, so you did say total yards, not passing yards. So even so, I'd still probably have to say unders because I don't know if Corley's going to be here, so I don't know how to factor him in. Right. Smith, I think will get some run. I think we'll see Smith. Smith will exist. I think Arian Smith will exist this season, which is nice. But I appreciate that. Danger zone. Well, Dylan, I bet if you got um that reverse toss, you might not have fumbled it towards the end zone. So we'll see. You gotta finish. Dylan Terman's roster spot is not guaranteed. How many total yards for Fields? All right, based on 17 games, I know that's not, maybe he'll miss some games, but it's just easier from a math perspective for me. Based on 17 games, Fields, I'll say, let's say, Well, I'll say what 170-ish to 180 yards a game. Okay, so 3,060 yards, which isn't a lot. It's definitely on the lower end for starters. Um, Kirk Cousins threw for 3,500 yards last year, even though he died halfway through the year. Is that right? Can't be right. Yeah, so 3,060 yards passing. And let's say rushing. I'm looking at his career, kind of get a baseline here. I'll say a little bit. I'll say about 50, a little around 50 yards per game rushing. Well, that comes out to 850 rushing yards. That seems high, but 50 rushing yards a game doesn't seem that. He rushed for 56 yards per game his second year. He had 1,000. Wow, he had 1,100 yards rushing his second year. Okay, and he had 657 in 13 games in 2023. All right, so I'll say 790 rushing yards. So around 3,800 scrimmage yards for Fields. And then I will say 6 rushing touchdowns and how many passing touchdowns? I'll say 19 passing touchdowns, 6 rushing touchdowns. So 3,800 scrimmage yards and 25 total touchdowns if you play 17 games. You need 3,750 yards, 33,750 yards passing, and 26 to 30 touchdowns from your QB. Fields has to produce that. Yeah, but it's like saying you need a household income of $250,000. But most people don't do that, and they got to figure out a way to survive. So that's where we are, man. Because that ain't happening. I would bet the under on that. 26 passing touchdowns and 3,750 yards passing from Fields. I mean, that's just not in the cards, I don't think. Yeah, Billy, I get it. You're absolutely right. Um, it, but it is what it is. Like we're competing against Tua and Josh. Yeah, how did the Dolphins and Bills get those guys though? They didn't trade for them when they were 87 years old, and they didn't sign them for 17 million a year or whatever. They drafted them in the first round, and for the Jets to get their guy to compete with those guys, they're probably going to have to draft him in the first round. Probably. I mean, we kind of knew that, but there wasn't but nobody wanted any of those guys. No Jet fan wanted to trade up for Cam Ward, or draft Shedeur or Jackson Dart at 7. So what did that leave us to do? I mean, I'm not saying the season's a waste. Like I've watched worse. We've all watched worse than what's about to happen this year. I can promise you that. You've endured worse. You've seen Bryce Petty, Tim Boyle. You've seen Adam Gase years where you had the least talented roster in the NFL. It won't be worse than that, but Yeah, I mean, until you have one of those guys, one of those 12 quarterbacks on earth who are above that threshold that you can kind of do something dangerous with, there is a ceiling to what you can accomplish. I don't think we had that last year. I know some people disagree, but it's been months of that. I don't think we can fight about that anymore, but I don't think we had that last year, regardless of what the volume stats say. I think the points, that's why I'm a points truther. I'm a quarterback points truther. How many points do we score? That is what Tanner Engstrand and Justin Fields should be judged on, especially because Fields isn't a rookie. I know he's still young, but Fields has started 44 games. So let's score some points, man. Steelers fans said F the Jets. Shouldn't they? See, the thing I don't get about this is, well, every quarterback we get, there's the, like with Zach, it was the BYU people, and then it was the Aaron Rodgers fan club / Packers fans, and then now it's like the Justin Fields fan club, whatever. But it's like, if you're the Steelers or Aaron Rodgers fan club, wouldn't you be happy that like he's free from the clutches of the Jets? Like, you're a Steelers fan, aren't you thanking the Jets for letting him go, and now we're gifting you the dynasty that you're about to go on, 3 straight Super Bowls or whatever fan fiction they're writing over there? Shouldn't they be happy about that? Or Packers fans, it's like, you won the trade. You won the trade. You traded. We gave you multiple premium picks and cap relief for a player whose Achilles was eviscerated in 5 seconds. That you won the trade, and I have Jordan Love, and he looks pretty good. So, and now Aaron Rodgers is free from us, and he gets to go win 7 Super Bowls with the Steelers or whatever, while we're still the Jets. So why haven't the fact that those people still haven't fully moved on? You still see them like, oh, the Jets, you're gonna see, you're gonna lose again. It's like, yeah, okay, then I'm right back where I was. It's no, I was born in this. You think I can't stomach another losing season? Please, you think that's what it's gonna break us? Is one more losing season is gonna break us? Anybody who is still in this chat, there is nothing the Jets could do to you anymore that will make you give up on the team. Even if you say, no, this is the last year, I don't believe you. If you are still here, then you're a lifer. So whatever. Appreciate the attempt, Aaron. We'll always have those 10 days between the New England and Denver game where we felt like we could be a real team. And I hope we kick your ass week 1. That's all. Good Lord. Only the Jets could be clowned for getting Aaron Rodgers. Like, remember, like, you get Aaron Rodgers, and then everyone's like, he's going to be washed. He's old. All your guys are washed. You have bad coaching. It's going to end terribly. And then that happens in part because of some bad luck. Like him, okay, maybe older players get hurt, but him being pretty durable and then getting an Achilles blown out the first week, like that, freaking, come on, that's insane. So then that happens, and then like they're proven right. But then the Jets are also criticized for moving on. It's like, what? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Fields will have at least 10 rushing touchdowns. Maybe. I mean, his career high, I think, was 7 or something. Depends on how they split up the red zone touches. A lot of people are bullish on Fields rushing touchdowns. You think 12? We're making excuses for Fields. Bro, Billy, it's not an excuse. It's just like, it is what it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like in December, it's probably going to be snowing at my house because it's Buffalo. Is that an excuse for Buffalo? I don't know, man. That's what's going to happen. Probably. It might be like a 58-degree day. That's nice. That's possible. It happened in December. But if I had to bet, come December 20th in Buffalo, New York, there's probably going to be like 2 inches of snow in my driveway. I don't know. Is that an excuse for Buffalo, or is that just kind of what the deal is. And I think there's a middle ground. You're saying he can't just be better, slightly better than Tim Tebow. Well, there is a very big gap between Tim Tebow and what you described as your criteria. You said 20, you said like 28 touchdowns and 3,800 yards. There's a big gap between Tim Tebow, who completed like 47% of his pro passes, to that. So, like, what if Fields is at 3,200 yards and 23 touchdowns to like 9 picks? Yeah. Plus his rushing ability. Is that good enough to compete with Lamar Mahomes? Okay, maybe not, but that, like, are you not signing up for that? I would sign up for that because that's a significant improvement and that's above my expectation. Like, again, if the NFL thought Fields was capable of throwing for 30 touchdowns and 3,700 yards while being a top 5 rushing quarterback, he would have been paid 50 million a year. You wouldn't be able to get him. It's like saying, well, Josh Reynolds has to have 890 yards and 8 touchdowns. Okay, I don't know what to say, man. The Rams and Bucks are the only teams in the modern era to win with a free agent older quarterback, and there are two Hall of Fame guys paired with generational coaches. Yeah, I mean, and even Stafford was like 35 when he won it. So in terms of really old, yeah, Brady is just the outlier. Um, to be fair, I still think the Jets would have made the wild card in 2023 if Rodgers didn't get hurt. I mean, it doesn't matter, but you can't convince me that team couldn't have won 9 or 10 games that year when they had the top 5 defense and the top 5 special teams. They won 7 games with Zach, Tim Boyle, and Simeon. So a pre-Achilles tear Aaron Rodgers, they definitely would have made the playoffs. But unfortunate. Then they probably would have extended Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh. So there's that part of it. Can the Steelers handle our run game? I mean, that Steelers, when we played the Steelers last year, it just felt, I don't know, like, what, didn't they kick their ass pretty good, didn't they? But I don't even remember how. It was like Russell Wilson throwing moon balls and guys making the most impossible catch on our head every time. And then Garrett Wilson dropping the pass that goes right to like a interception, and then they score a touchdown. Comedy of errors. Salah just wanted to pal around. Yeah, I mean, it takes a very unique person to be able to be in a leadership position of any kind. That's why, like, how many of you have had a great boss? Um, I've had one. I've had one boss where I'm like, wow, that was a great boss. It's pretty rare. So we'll see if Aaron Glenn can do it. Um, that's the biggest thing I'm looking at this year is like the coaching. Do we have some competency at coaching? Uh, then the next thing is kind of what the deal at quarterback. I think this regime, their fate will probably be what they decide to do at quarterback next offseason. I know it feels like they just got hired. You want to boil it down to just that, but it's really true. Like if they go out and draft a quarterback and number 18 overall, whatever, next year, that's their it's tied to his success or failure, whether they keep their jobs. In very rare circumstances, like Joe Douglas got a mulligan because he had built up good faith with that insane draft class. But typically, you draft a quarterback who busts in the first round, it's good night to everybody. Yeah, it was brutal, man. If Fields can't do it, and we're like 3-5 by game 8, you have to pull Fields and start Terrat. I mean, we can. Those are like to me, those are kind of bridges that we cross when we come to it. Like, well, what if Fields stubs his toe and Terrat has to come in and he throws 10 touchdowns to no picks and the Jets are 3-0 in that stretch? Yeah, then of course you play Terrat and you say, sorry, we're winning games. We got to put the Fields thing on hold. Of course, you know, if they're 0-5 with Fields and he's throwing 2 touchdowns to 10 picks, yeah, you pull him because you can't put that product on the field. But those to me are bridges we cross when we come to them. In general, it's Fields' job until it's not. Don't draft a Lar. I mean, he needs to sit for a minute. He'll probably go to LA and sit behind Stafford for a year or two. Michael Clemens is not popular in the chat. Clemens runs the wrong direction. Clemens, it looks like he doesn't, when he moves, it looks like he doesn't have the right amount of ligament in his body. He kind of moves like a Sims character or something, or like a Lego. He's so stiff. It's like I've only ever seen Clemens' knees and elbows fully extended. I've never seen Clemens bend in any sort of way. Like I think he sleeps standing up. I don't know. Is anatomically he's not correct. My fear is that yeah, well McDonald is like Gumby and Clemens is just stiff as a feather, light as a board. They're the opposite of each other. Michael Clemens has the best frog spin. Michael Clemens running at his hardest is pretty funny. Yeah, he plays special teams too. He's on the kick return unit, so you'll get to see him running full speed. My fear is that Brees Hall balls out. Why does that be a fear, Yeti? This is good. Why? Because then we can't afford him. Then we let him go. I mean, to me, it's like I just hope that he does well, and then we'll figure it out from there. You could franchise tag him, right? If they don't want to commit to him, they could. I know it sucks for them from the player's perspective, but from the team's perspective, they could franchise tag him. But yeah, so with Brees, it's not even necessarily that I'm predicting that he'll have a breakout year, but I think Brees having a bounce back, really highly productive year is it's a possible thing that we can look to and say, hey, this could be a reason why the team wins more games than people think. And you're not being crazy because you've seen 2 years ago, Brees Hall was second among all running backs in scrimmage yards and had above average efficiency with behind a horrible offensive line, with horrible coaching and a horrible quarterback. All those quarterbacks in 2023 were worse than Justin Fields. And Nate Hackett is probably worse than Engstrand. I mean, come on, it can't be worse than Hackett. And Carter. And Max Mitchell and Xavier Newman and Billy Turner are worse than the offensive lineman we're going to have. So, yeah, it's possible. Now, if you're saying I don't believe in Brees anymore, that's fine too. But it is possible that he plays well, and it's not a complete projection. Yeah, Cisco got some work as a punt returner, but he wasn't listed on the depth chart anywhere. So we'll see. But I'll leave it there. If you guys want to hit the thumbs up on your way out, that'd be cool. And we'll talk Jets tomorrow.